Hey guys, this is the Nerf Vortex Praxis. I like it a lot. I think it's the alpha trooper of the Vortex line. Although it doesn't have slam fire, it's the pump action shotgun. It's certainly the only usable, except maybe a fully modded Proton, blaster from the Vortex line to be good for HVZ. Let's face it, the Nitron isn't very usable, and the Vigilon doesn't really fit. But this works very well. The only thing it needs is more power and a few less locks. That said, this is going to be the mod guide for the Praxis. Now, Rogue has done this over on Nerf Revolution, but I don't think he removed any of the locks, but they figured out that the same way I did the Proton at first with the reclocking of the torsion spring that's located in here, you can do that to the Praxis as well, so I'll be showing you how to do that and which locks to remove, and basically the internals for the blaster. So without further ado, I'm going to flip it over. All the screws are on this side, and take it apart. Alright, you guys can see here that this is my Praxis. I've loosened all of the screws in it. The first thing you want to do is remove these two screws in this back housing to attach the stock. It does nothing, and you can see here that the stock attachment is even hollow. That's because there isn't a plunger in this blaster. It's all torsion spring powered up here. The next thing you want to do to make sure you get it apart cleanly is loosen all four of these very thin screws in the priming handle. Once you do that, you can see that the priming handle, unlike all other priming handles I've seen, is actually comprised of 3 pieces and locks in through 2 ports instead of just 1. It also seems to be made of some sort of plastic and not metal for the priming bar, which is nice because I think it is lighter and the reason that the movement is much smoother. This is the part I was talking about. This is the front piece to the priming handle. Now, once you've done all that, you can come in and remove this green segment, and you can see everything in the Praxis, from the trigger mechanism to the locks that control whether or not there's a clip in the blaster, to the sled itself, which chambers the discs, and then here you can see the torsion spring itself, which I will be dialing up a notch. Without further ado, I'm going to start breaking it down, and I'll show you the locks I choose to take out, as well as how to do that torsion spring mod. Hey guys, I'm going to start by showing you where the priming locks are in the Praxis. One of them is tricky to see. It's a piece right in here. I'm pointing at it right now, and it rotates in that direction. And you've got to make sure that it stays rotated in that direction. In Rogue's mod guide, he glued it in that position. I'm going to try and remove it entirely, but failing that, I'll glue it too. The other one is this plate here, which depresses, and I'm going to remove the entire thing via these 2 Phillips head screws. Now there are some depriming locks which you'll also want to remove. I'm going to depress both of them now so that you can see them. They're very similar to the ones in the Proton. They're these discs here. You can see how they come down and allow the slide to move back freely. When they're not, they hold it back. Again, in Rogue's guide, he glued them. I think that that's slightly inefficient, so I'm going to cut them out permanently so they can never be used again. After I do all 4 of those locks, I'm going to show you one more quick fix, then the torsion spring. Alright guys, so you can see now that all of my locks have been removed. This is the trigger mechanism, and it pulls freely. I'm not going to show you the priming mechanism quite yet because I don't have a screwdriver that I want to throw in there and prime back, but you can see that this has been depressed entirely, and I ended up gluing it, but I did remove the screw, which looks like that. And then I glued over it with Loctite super glue gel, and I recently learned that not all super glue is created equal. This is actually the best super glue I can find for Nerf applications, and I think that it is the best for Nerf applications. It beats all the different dollar store types that I've used and had issues with. I also removed the other one. It was very simple as unscrewing it, and there's the piece. I'm going to throw that out. Now, before I move on to the torsion spring mod, I want to show you this right here. This piece that holds this spring in place interferes with this mechanism, which drops the clips, and sometimes when you pull your trigger, it hooks into there and moves it enough that you accidentally drop your clips. Now, I haven't had this issue yet, but I'd like to preemptively fix it before I put this through any hardcore HVZ action. So I'm going to be trimming this down, which seems to be the fix, and I'll show that to you in its final form right before I launch into this, which is the torsion spring mechanism, and I'm going to be removing this front panel to access it. Now to remove that front panel, there's a screw here that needs to be removed. This screw obviously needs to be removed, and I'm not sure if there's another one because that is actually an anchor screw. So I'll take those two screws out and lift off the panel and see what I've got there. Alright, so sure enough, upon removing those two screws, this slid out and over, and that came out. And then there's this rubber bumper pad, again, exactly like the Proton, which was fitted right here that comes out very easily. Now I'm going to prime the blaster. All of this is designed to be done without messing with this sled up here because it's very complicated and I don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to take this, insert a screwdriver here, prime it for it to catch, and then I'm going to work on the torsion spring readjustment. Right now it is located right there at the second screw post, and I have not decided yet if I'm going to move it to the screw post closer to me or this clear tab here. I've seen it move to this green post here, but to do that you have to put about an entire tube of epoxy putty in there for reinforcements, and that's far more than I'm willing to do. I'll show you over here real quick that I have shaved this down entirely and then tucked the spring back in so that now when I pull the trigger it does not impact the clip release, and that's what I was looking for. It'll work much smoother now. Alright, so you guys can see here that I decided to redial it all the way to that peg, and after I did that I lathered it up with 2-part epoxy as well as reinforced the bar itself. I drilled a hole to install it in the new place because I wanted to put one of the washer head screws over the top to really cement it in, and then of course I added 2-part epoxy over that. All that's left to do is put this panel back on, put the body back together, and show you how much better it hopefully is. Hey guys, it's Drac. This is the finished Nerf Praxis mod. I'm really pleased with how this turns out. As you can see, the prime is now much smoother and it deprimes without firing, which is good because there's a lot more power in this torsion spring now. And you want to be able to deprime it without dry firing it because this arm will snap. Now it won't snap with one dry fire, but if you did it all day, it'd probably break after enough force was put onto it. I want to show where I've signed this blaster. I've signed it on the back here where the stock attaches, and I've also signed it up here. I've painted this piece up in my Fanger Red because the mods for my HVZ won't let me paint my blasters, so I've gotten around that by painting small sections of them and then signing them. So it's now Fanger Red with a silver Fang signature. I've also decided to call this Praxis the Draxis because it's my channel and I can name my blasters whatever I want. I've got a clip here. Again, it's been signed Drac so that people can't take my clips. And I'm going to fire a few discs. You can see a notable difference in the way that they're exiting the barrel as well as the sound it's making. These discs are going about 90 feet, which is ridiculous for stock ammo. I'm very pleased with this, and with the locks removed, the rate of fire is improved greatly. I like this blaster a lot. I'm very happy with the mod. I've got one disc left. And thanks for watching.